Hi everyone, thanks for joining. My name is Ed Bentley. I'm a front-end developer. I mostly use React. You can catch me on Twitter. I'm also an indie game developer. This is my company, Fluke Games. We've got a new game coming out this year, so keep an eye out for that. I've also developed my own open source JavaScript game engine called Replay. It's very much inspired by React, so if you're interested in making games, I recommend you check it out. But today I'm going to talk about tests. Now, generally when we're writing our apps, we write the app and then we write the tests. Now, of course, if we're following test-driven development, then we might do this the other way around. For UI, I feel like we tend to do this way more. But I find it takes up a lot of time. I was building my menu UIs the other day, and I really found it difficult to motivate myself to write the tests after I'd already spent a long time writing all of the code. And if you think about it, we're duplicating a lot of the behavior. We're writing the app, and then we're writing the tests again, and they're both got the same kind of behavior in them. So I had an idea. I thought, what if you could just write the tests, wave some sort of magic wand, and then out of a chest appears your app. Now, taking it seriously for a second, if I wrote some tests as code and handed that to you, you could probably then write the app itself based on reading the tests. But what if a program could do that for you? You just write the tests, and then the program is able to generate the app for you. Now, I've taken this idea and I've built a library called Spectate. Now I want to show you Spectate today, and I've got a live demo. So here I've just got a very simple React app. I'm using Vite, shout out to Vite. And at the moment it's just saying hello world. So what I plan to build is an email sign-up form using Spectate. Now we still write out the markup in React, and Spectate is just going to be like our state manager. So everything we're doing in React is just purely functional. So I'm going to start off with an email label and its input. Now, this is not going to be the most semantically correct HTML or following best practices, like we're not using a form. I'm just writing it as simple as I can to be as concise as possible today. We could also have a password input. And then we want a button to sign up with, a sign up button. Okay. I've already done some styling here, so this is basically what it's going to look like, but right now it doesn't do anything. So to add this behavior, we're going to write some tests. So we call it a spec. So I'm going to write my spec is equal to, and then there's a function whose argument is new spec. The type of this is new spec. So you can use this if you're using TypeScript. It will help you with autocomplete. And then we're going to define a new test, kind of like we write test with jest. We're going to write new spec and then a description. So what we're going to say is we can sign up with email and password. Now, there's going to be some helper functions here. I know what we need ahead of time. So it's going to be click on, enter text, do effect, and equals. So what we're going to do, we think about this email form for a second. We want to add an email address, add a password, and then click on sign up. So what we're going to need is an input. So we can call this email input, and we use the new input. We also need some text to store what we put into the input. So we're going to call that email text. And this is a text variable. Now this input is connected to our text variable. So to do that, to show it's connected, we're just going to pass it in here. I'm going to copy this and do the same for password. So now we have a password text, and of course we also have the sign up button. Okay, we've defined those. We also need to return them so that Spectate can use them. Email text, email input, password text, password input, and sign up button. Okay, great. Now let's write this test. Let's think about this for a second. First, what we're going to do, we're going to click on the input, and this reads just like something like React testing library, which is a great library, shout out to that. So we're going to click on the email input, and then we're going to enter text, and we're going to write some sort of email, hi@test.com. Then we're going to click on the password input, and then we're going to enter some sort of password, and then we click on the sign up button. Now, we've described this behavior, but what are we actually doing when we click on the sign up button? Now, for the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to log to the console. So to do that, we need to create an effect. Now this is called, let's call this post.json. And we can use this new effect, which takes a function which just has our effects, much like useEffect. You can see where I got the inspiration from. We're just going to log post here. Okay, now going back to our test, when we click on the sign up button, we need to actually do the effect, and the effect is post.json. Okay, that's that. Now we've actually got to put it into our app, and there's a very simple API here. Our props are defined by a hook called useSpec. useSpec's imported from our library, Spectate/React, and we pass in here our function we defined, mySpec. Okay, now we look at props and we can see it's got all of the fields that we defined earlier in our function. So conveniently, we can just spread the props. We have email input. We can just spread the props of password input. And again, spread the props of the sign up button. And this is designed to be as simple as possible, because really we're spending our time writing the tests and we don't actually have to spend much time writing the markup itself. Okay, I've got that. Let's see what happens. I write an email, write a password. There we go, we've got a post after we clicked on the sign up button. Let's improve this a little bit. Firstly, I don't like how we can see the password. We need to change the input type. So here we can just say input type is password, but we still want it connected to the password text variable, so it knows which variable to update. The other thing I want to do is, in our post, I want to actually get that email and password value we entered. So I'm going to enter getVal here, which this has an argument which we can use to get the value as a string of our variables. So we can say email text, we can get the value of our password text,